Very shalom, greetings to you all. You know, this is a very special day for Yaakov ben Noach on his being called up to the Torah. It's an exciting day and a powerful event and a fantastic parsha to be celebrated within. And it's great acknowledgement of your hard work. Congratulations for all the effort you continue to put in on your growth and your development. And congratulations on your new home. Now, there's a blessing in Deuteronomy 28:6, and you don't often hear it, but I think it's very apropos, and I'd like to share it with you. Baruch atah baboecha ubaruch atah besetecha. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. Enjoy your home and be blessed, my friend. And speaking of blessings, let us send goodwill and healing out to Margaret Snyderman, who's not been well for several months now. Mishaberach avotenu makor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength to bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. We pray for you, for your peace, for your well-being, for the love of your family. And how? It was great seeing you, and I'm so sorry you were not receiving the regular show updates. So hopefully I've corrected that, and you will receive them now. And thank you, Sean, for your great comments about the songs. It's always interesting to see who picks up on which musical references. Last week we had Procol Harum, the Beatles, and the late, great Hank Williams. And speaking of musical references, I was fortunate to spend some time with my good friend Michael Greenfield, a brilliant luthier whose guitars have great names: the Twins, the Phoenix, the Tribes. And I had the sheer joy of playing this masterpiece, The Tree of Life. I hope you can all see it. Its brilliant inlay is only surpassed by its uncompromising sound. Thank you, Michael, for allowing me that joy. Now, friends, this parsha contains one of the last great stories of the 5 books of Moses, and it has so much more in it. And in a very direct way, it tells us the most important law of all of God's laws. This week contains tablets of God, the golden calf, the shining face of Moses, and the crucial command to keep the Sabbath. Now, the first is a reference to the true testimony, the tablets of God, the ones written by God himself. The second, the incredible tale of complete disobedience and the reason for the altering of a commandment. And the third, the great mistranslation of the Torah, which has created a stereotype still dealt with to this day. You see, from his exposure to God, Moses changes. Hey, who of us would not change or does not change when we have our epiphany? Exodus 34:29. And it was when Moses was coming down from Mount Sinai, and the 2 tablets of the testimony were in Moses' hand when he was coming down from the mountain, and Moses had not known that the skin of his face was transformed when he was speaking with him. For the rest of the Torah, my friends, Moses is seen wearing a veil because the skin of his face had begun to glow. Now, there's some question about the precise meaning of the Hebrew verb that's used here, karan, which occurs only in this one place in the Bible. The Greek translation and the Latin Vulgate, which was a 4th century Latin translation of the Bible that had become the Catholic Church's official version, famously understood it to mean sprouted horns, which they derived from the word karan, not karan, which meant horn. Now, of course, it's a virtual impossibility because horns would grow from the head, not from the skin of the face. And of course, the notion of divine radiance enveloping the head or face of a god, an angel, a king, a priest, appears in numerous Mesopotamian texts, and so would probably have been a familiar idea to the ancient biblical Hebrew audience, and nobody would have thought twice about it. But the great Michelangelo statue, and it is pretty incredible, shows Moses with horns. And sadly, that belief holds true to this day. And friends, the law of laws is presented. Obey the commandment regarding ceasing, regarding imitatio Dei, regarding sacred time and sacred space. The Sabbath. Where to begin? Kitisa, when you add. Exodus 30:12. When you add up the heads of the children of Israel by their counts, each of them shall give a ransom for his life to the Lord when counting them, so there will not be a plague among them. Okay, it opens with a census. And there's a fee to be paid for each member. And the fee is in order to stave off a plague. Think of the things you can do with that money. Choose any charity, give to the poor. We've noted your motives. We've noted your feelings. This isn't blood money. It's a fee nothing more. I love Broadway. Friends, you will then notice this very elaborate formula that's given for holy incense. And what it really is, it's the formula that also goes for the anointing oil. It should not be used by just anyone. It should not be poured on flesh. It is to anoint. These are special incenses and special oils to make things holy. In fact, it's to make them the Holy of Holies. Now, there's that term again, and we're going to hear that term an awful lot in the next few weeks. How many of you thought that was the spot in the temple where the ark was kept and the high priest entered but one time a year? Let's see some hands. Well, it was. But it was all these other things too. It applied to the priestly vestments, the table, the great horn sacrifice altar, anything that was to be the holiest of the holy items. Just like each and every one of you are the Holy of Holies, the holiest of the holy. And remember, holiness is a contagion. So you spread holiness wherever you go. Well, I'm pressing on. Yes, I'm pressing on. I'm pressing on to the higher calling of my Lord. And friends, the first artist in the Bible is actually mentioned here. And he has a very fascinating name, Bezalel, which could be Besalel, which means shadow of God, but it could also be from Besalem Elohim, which means image of God. Both are pretty good. But it talks about now how important artistry is for everything that will take place from a spiritual point of view. This Bezalel, he will craft the things that have been described. Right? Moses, isn't the one who's going to be the artist. Now, don't forget, Moses is up on the mountain talking to God, and he's basically going to become a spokesperson now. And he's told, Exodus 31:13, and you speak to the children of Israel, saying, just, you shall observe my Sabbaths, because it is a sign between me and you through your generations, to know that I, he who causes being, makes you holy. Now, the use of just at the beginning of that phrase actually is an emphasis in biblical Hebrew, and so the people would understand that perfectly. So why just the Sabbath? Out of all the commandments, we just had this great epiphany. We got 10 fantastic words. Why the Sabbath? Well, it's because it is a sign between me and you. And this is fantastic. Friends, the covenants with God all had signs associated with them. The Noahic covenant had the sign of the rainbow, performed and fulfilled only by God. The sign of the Abrahamic covenant was circumcision. And now we are told the sign of the Mosaic or Israelite covenant is the Sabbath. And both of these require human compliance, and failure to do so results in being cut off from the people or death, which is a pretty severe consequence. Now, the Sabbath is especially interesting because it marks holiness on so many different levels. Mostly, it makes time holy and observable as a holy event. It's fantastic when you think about it. It takes a piece of and makes the normal measurable cycle of life holy. And we get to recreate it and honor it in a beautiful cycle imitating the cycle of creation. Now, this was so important that humans are to cease on the Sabbath because God ceased creating on the Sabbath. Now, this now conveys that every human participates in this one divine phenomenon. And friends, one cannot rest but still require his or her slave to work. One cannot rest but still count on non-Israelites in the community to do the work. Unfortunately, that's not put in practice today. And this was so important that this is what God specifically is talking to Moses on Mount Sinai about. And then God, Exodus 31:18, when he finished speaking with him at Mount Sinai, he gave the 2 tablets of the testimony to Moses, tablets of stone written by the finger of God, and sends Moses off. Now notice 2 things about this, my friends. The first, written by the finger of God, and the second is tablets of the testimony. It's a very fascinating term. Now this was an agreement between God and the people. There are 2 tablets of testimony, and there must always be at least 2 witnesses to give testimony in law. And Moses names 2 witnesses, heaven and earth, concerning the people's future, several times throughout his discourses. And these tablets are to be the witnesses to what was said on the mountain. And these were special. These were written on both sides and were written by God himself. And we will never know what they truly contained. Unfortunately, these are the tablets the ark was to house, and which Moses is about to shatter. The subsequent set, Moses writes, and there is a difference. Wow. I don't know about you, but I kind of feel ripped off. I would love to have seen what the originals looked like. Now, here's the tablets of testimony, and here's what they might have looked like had there been crazy glue to put them back together. Now, Moses was gone, so the people get antsy. Now, a mere 40 days ago, they stood on a mountain and experienced the great epiphany and heard the direct words of God. Now they don't know what to do. They've transferred the power of God to Moses, and you will see on many occasions coming that God won't be particularly happy with that attitude. So they go to Aaron and they tell him, build a golden god for them. The great scene of disobedience is about to unfold. Now Aaron will later suggest that he threw the gold in the fire and out came the calf. But as you read it, you see how Aaron was completely compliant in its creation. And it was a bull, not a calf. But that's the name that sticks, so I'll stick with it too. It's always been referred to as the golden calf story. So, it wouldn't sound right if I said the golden bull. So the golden calf, Exodus 32:4. These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up from the land of Egypt. Now, it's been confusing for people since the Torah was written. God brought the people up from Egypt, and the people keep projecting that onto Moses, and even Moses gets confused because God projects it onto him. Exodus 32:7. And God spoke to Moses, go down, because your people, whom you brought up from the land of Egypt, has corrupted. So who did bring them up? Everything God references, he references as he who freed the people. So it seems God did. But, it's like when you have a child and you don't like his behavior and you say to his mother, your son did this. But, friends, here in this whole section, it's all in reference to this golden calf. There has to be something missing. There has to be. Don't forget, the idol was not considered a god, but a representation instead. So there's a sentence missing here. Notice also the calf is actually never referred to as an idol. And in pagan religions of the ancient Near East, people did not worship animals, and they did not worship idols. They worshiped gods who were represented or honored by statues. That's different. And so even though Aaron appears complacent with this whole thing, perhaps he actually observes the people's behavior and acts accordingly. And he creates the model, but at the same time he proclaims that there has to be a festival to Yahweh, he who causes being. And he builds the model, but he calls for this festival to God in Exodus 32:5. And Aaron saw, and he built an altar in front of it, and Aaron called and he said, a festival to he who causes being tomorrow. Now, remember a few weeks ago, we talked about a double meaning for a particular biblical Hebrew word. Vayara Haron, and Aaron saw, could also be, and Aaron was afraid, because saw and fear have the same Hebrew letters, and there's no vowels. Now, would that help explain what happened? Did his fear of the people have him build the bull? Don't forget, these parshas are filled with allusion. In the modern definition of a golden calf is an object of materialistic or unworthy worship, the things we elevate and worship. And friends, money is probably number one. With a time-trusted compass blade, Aladdin and his lamp sits with utopian hermit monks, side saddle on the golden calf, and on their promises of paradise, you will not hear a laugh. All except inside the gates of Eden. Now, they just made a covenant with God, but at the first sign of difficulty, boom, they turn. Perhaps it's just simply the old pattern. Friends, it takes work. It takes effort, it takes time to hold to new beliefs. As we change, as we grow, as we wake up and become aware and seek higher beliefs. It's going to take time, a whole lot of precious time. It's going to take patience and time to do it, 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 to do it right. Then what are the golden calves in your life? Do you know when they arise? Do you feel them coming? Do you fall prey to old pattern? Do you know that you can end them, change them? We must accept what comes to us at any given time. Not ask for more or for the world to work on our timetable. Life, my friends, is endless. So we never die. We were never really born. We just pass through different phases. There's no end. Humans have many dimensions, but time is not as we see time, but rather in the lessons that are learned, and we continue to learn them. And do you know that you can enter that tabernacle we talked of last week, the one you carry within you, the one with the lamp, the table, the ark, the testimony, the witnesses, anytime, any place, just by sitting back and taking a deep breath and asking to review these lessons of life. The world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom, be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light, all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace, for freedom for everyone. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do. I see the dogs are waking up. Learn to forgive and learn to love. Follow the call of freedom. Its festival is coming. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. Remember, the journey is yours to enjoy. We take twists and turns in the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our effort to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. It is the most important thing you can do. Share the light with all who live in the light and all who need the light. And remember, there in your heart, something that's never changing. Always a part of, something that's never aging. It's in your heart. It only takes time till love comes to everyone. Bless you all. Have a fantastic week. A week of love and light and peace and healing and thanks. And send your goodwill to those who need it. And keep on dreaming, my friends. Keep being, keep teaching, keep sharing, keep shining. Keep spreading your holiness. Thank you all for joining me. Have a fantastic week. Shabbat Shalom. Take care. Bye.